Okay, welcome to this Edexcel A-level video. Today we're doing Buddhism. This is unit 3.2 Mahayana, and we've introduced the origins and development of Mahayana. We've thought about some of the key ideas of emptiness, interdependence, and yata, and their development in first century BC perfection of wisdom literature through to second century polemics between at the end of the perfection of wisdom early development and Theravada. So today we move on to look at the idea of the Buddha nature that is in all of us as a Mahayana idea, and the importance of images and stupas in Mahayana. And what I'd like you to do just before we really kick off is to do some work on images and stupas. I'm going to do a second video on this, and I want you to watch it and make 4 mind maps. You're going to pause this and look at the next video, which looks first of all at the purpose of stupas in Mahayana, the psychocosmic symbolism of the Buddhist stupa, the psychocosmic symbolism. And then second, the purpose of stupas in Mahayana. We're going to look at some specific examples in Indonesia, Borobudur, and in Tibet, Tibetan stupas. And then third, we're going to move on to images and do a mind map, a poster, some notes on the Bodhisattva ideal in iconography, how it teaches about heavenly, celestial, Sambhakaya, Bodhisattvas, and the Bodhisattva vow. And then last of all, the purpose of images in Mahayana, the Bodhisattva ideal, looking at how it teaches the metaphysics, the Tracheya doctrine, and how it illustrates the Lotus Sutra. So pause the video now and look at the second video and then come back here again. Okay, see you shortly. So we've looked at all these images and stupas in Mahayana, but they raise a whole range of questions about why use images and stupas in Mahayana. Well, according to the perfection of wisdom literature, there is the ordinary truth, the conventional truth, that is about the way we see things from our human perspective, our human way of thinking, which is what seems right to us. And from this perspective, there are mendicants, holy people, arahats, bodhisattvas, Buddhas, and so on. However, the ultimate truth is there are no living beings, no arahats, no bodhisattvas, no Buddhas. This is all an illusion. Remember, every statement, every utterance is false. Everything we see is not real. It's a false statement. So these are the ideas we remember from previous lessons. We'll see maybe more of that have their origin in the Buddhist idealism of the Yogacara school, and perhaps earlier in the foundational ideas of Nagarjuna and the Madhyamaka school of India, of Mahayana in India. Ultimately, all mundane, everyday thinking, and all images of the mundane, and all images of the supramundane, as Theravada like to talk about, of any kind arise from emptiness. But in order to gain their true perceptions, one must again dissolve them into emptiness, as the ultimate idea is an imageless reality. All imagined phenomena, all beings, all icons, all statues are in the end empty. So, but this is again back to this idea of practical designation. It's useful, it's pragmatic, but it's not real. So this bit of the course, 3.2, practices that shape express religious identity. We're looking at the distinctive practices of Mahayana, how they shape and express religious identity. In the first lesson, we looked at the context of 2nd century BC developments and 1st century CE developments, the perfection of wisdom literature, how that developed through to the Lotus Sutra in particular, perhaps later the Heart Sutra. In the second lesson we looked at the Trikaya doctrine, this doctrine that there is this ultimate truth that all is Buddha, and that from this ultimate reality everything emanates. The Sambhakaya realm emanates from the Dharmakaya, the ultimate truth, the Dharma truth. And then the transformation, the Nirmanakaya realm, emanates from that. This emanation of emanation, a manifestation of this ultimate truth of the Buddha, and the Buddha is creation, and creation is Buddha. Everything is Buddha. A Zen parable once goes, if you see the Buddha on the road, kill him, because your perception is wrong. The Buddha is ultimately, in the ultimate truth, a sort of cosmic presence that influences everything. And so out of that we get the emptiness doctrine, we get the Thich Nhat Hanh and others' idea of interbeing, interconnection, and we'll get to later this lesson, selfish altruism. So today, Buddha nature in everyone, the centrality of the historical Buddha, or Shakyamuni as the Mahayana like to refer to him, and the use of images of Shakyamuni and stupas, which are in a way others also images. And we'll get to Buddhist schools in further lessons. We're going to look particularly later at the Dalai Lama and what he said. So to introduce us, have a look at this picture here of someone looking for gold, panning for gold. In Mahayana Buddhism, what do they mean by Buddha nature? How might this idea of panning for gold be connected? Have a think for a second. Maybe pause. Well, the answer is this weird word, Tathagatagharba, or Buddha nature. It's already there within all of us. We just have to discover it. The gold is there. We just have to get to it. Now, the second scholar after A.L. Basham is the Dalai Lama in this bit of the course, and he speaks a lot about Buddha nature. He's written many, many books, maybe on this. Here's one of the quotes, and we'll look at lots of quotes from him. In 1987, he said, "There is so much effort spent on external matters, like space travel, but there's still quite a big area of inner space left to explore, and it's not so expensive." Dalai Lama thinks we need to go on a project of self-discovery. Think about all those self-help books, and it sounds very similar. It's there, it's just to be discovered. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of your very power, what's already there? That's the message of Buddhism. A very different message to other world religions like Christianity. So this term Tathagatagharba, Buddha nature. Every being has the potential to be enlightened. And as a result, meditation is described as a way of revealing the qualities one already has. This could be realized at any time for any one of us. So we need to know about Buddha nature, Tathagatagharba, and what the Dalai Lama says about it, and other things like compassion and especially the Bodhisattva vow. And we should understand the concept of the Bodhisattva in general, in Mahayana, and how this relates to something called the 6 perfections, or sometimes the 10 perfections. And then we'll get to stupas and images, and how these are important in Buddhism. So, a little bit on Bodhisattvas and their contrast with the Theravada idea. And this is important because you're going to be doing a little bit of writing about this later. So first of all, the Theravada Arahat path. Remember this from the Theravada 3.1 part of the course. The word means Arahat. Arahat means worthy one. Someone who has attained Nibbana, release from samsara. He's a renunciant monk. He's gone through the 4 stages of the Arhat path. He's set aside the fetters that hold us back: pride, restlessness, ignorance, craving, these fetters, these have been destroyed as he's moved to become a worthy one. These guys follow the 27 precepts. So the Arahat has followed all of the Patmokkha precepts, all the Vihara precepts perfectly. So they've had to renounce their household or way of life, and they are motivated by ahimsa, to cause no harm. In contrast to the Arahat path, the Bodhisattva ideal, as it were, for Mahayana, is motivated, as it were, it's a bit like the, tolerance and love. Theravada is like tolerance, cause no harm. Well, that's not enough. The Mahayana says, love, you got to do stuff. You got to actually get involved, not stand back and not cause harm. And some bodhicitta is a subtly positive as opposed to neutral idea. Theravada is in a way neutral, whereas Mahayana is positive. You've got to go about helping others. So you liberate yourself by liberating others. It's the key idea in Mahayana. You can choose rebirth to this end, so you can stay in the world to help others. It's this idea of choosing to stay to help others. Whereas obviously Theravada, the whole point is to escape the world and to get to Nibbana. And some have been considered that you choose to get reborn in the heavenly realm, Sambhakaya, and you become an object of prayer. You would have to be a very special person to have accumulated many lifetimes of merit, perhaps, to do that, in order to be able to answer those prayers in that realm. And then a key idea is upaya. Very different idea. Skillful means, and it very much overrides the traditional values of Theravada. We can lie, we can do all sorts of stuff, like the Lotus Sutra parable of the burning house. So the meaning of the term Bodhisattva, in early Buddhism, it kind of develops. In early Buddhism, it refers to the previous lives of the Buddha, told in Jataka tales. In Mahayana Buddhism, Bodhisattva refers to a human being committed to the attainment of enlightenment for the sake of others. Becoming a Bodhisattva is the goal, thus, of Mahayana Buddhism. The Bodhisattva may refer in Mahayana Buddhism to these heavenly Buddhas or Bodhisattvas, these mythical beings like Avalokitesvara, Manjusri, who become objects of prayer, intercession and devotion, so that they will answer your prayers. So the idea develops. Later Theravada will readopt the term and say, well, it only really, and they use it just of the kings of Sri Lanka, or the Buddha himself, but no more. They also believe in, we believe in bodhisattvas, they say, but again, they limit the idea. To become a bodhisattva, thus, you must work towards your own enlightenment. But what does this mean? It means something different. It's bound up with the enlightenment of all beings, a distant, if not impossible goal. It's done out of compassion, to remain in the cycle of samsarian or the samsarian order of life, death, and rebirth, to help others, to choose to be reborn. The ultimate goal for Mahayana Buddhists is to become thus bodhisattvas, beings of compassion. Bodhisattvas combine compassion, karuna, with being wise, prajna. Remember, Theravada, it's all about being wise and meditating, but compassion is key here. Mahayana Buddhists believe the original message of the Buddha's teaching to his followers to go forth for the welfare of others, and so they take the Bodhisattva vow. Right, You need to go to the next video now.